Hi, I'm your host, Chris Sands. Today, via the magic of the internet, we're joined by David Kozloski, one of the co-founders of Gearhouse Brewing Company. Thanks for joining me, David.
Thanks for having me, Chris. It's great to be back on UnCapped again.
It's been quite some time. I think it was at least 2 years, right?
Right. Yeah. I think we did this when we were in our first year of being open, and John Burroughs had actually scheduled and surprised me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Good old Johnny boy. Um, yeah, I need to have him back on again soon. People always love hearing him banter.
Yeah, he's got some interesting points of view.
So, in those 2 years, as should be expected with any successful brewery, you've had a lot go on during that time.
Yes. In fact, the other day was our 1 year anniversary from our new system being installed, well, delivered, and then subsequently installed. We started brewing on the 15 barrel system from ABS that we got the end of June in 2019. So we're coming up on our 1 year brewing anniversary with the new system. However, since March, we've been running at about half capacity for most of our batches. We've slowed down production quite a bit, and sales have been also relatively slow for us. But we have been open for curbside to go pickup, both for food and beer. And in Pennsylvania, we are allowed to actually distribute beer personally, as well as deliver beer personally to residents and consumers at locations throughout the state, as long as they have permission from that location.
That's crazy. It's
Yeah.
been a year already. Because I actually, whenever I saw you post about getting a new system installed, I thought like, oh, we got to get David back on. That was early on, and it was an extremely popular episode. People wanted to learn about you guys, so I was like, oh, I got to get him back on to talk about that, and it took almost a whole year. I'm kind of a
Yeah.
bad
Well,
person.
timing is great because we literally just the other day finally got our non-residency brewery permit for the state of Maryland. So this month here in June, we will begin getting beer down into Maryland. We're going to probably start closer to us around the Hagerstown area, but we are interested and have reached out to Craft Coalition as well. We're hoping that maybe we might be able to work with them some and spread some of our beer sales down throughout the state without having to take up our time for transportation and delivery and driving to and from all those corners.
Okay, that's good because my first question was going to be obviously, are you going to send some to Frederick? Because
Yes, yes.
I'm
Ultimately, we
pretty,
will. Yes,
I'm pretty single-minded and asking any brewery about when their beer will end up in Frederick to save myself from having to drive anywhere.
yes. So similar to us having to upgrade our system prematurely, sooner than we had expected, we also started canning beer much sooner than I had anticipated or planned on, because our sales in cans are a lot easier for the consumer, especially as to-go packaging and curbside pickup. Growlers and crowlers have still been selling, but cans are definitely hot. So we have had Ironheart on site, and we have done 4 canning runs already with them since December of 2019, and now we have another one scheduled actually for June 10th. And I have some samples that I'd like to show off if you're interested of the 3 new beers that we have coming, as well as 3 beers that we just actually canned last week.
So I actually just received a text message from someone at District East saying that they placed their first gear house order.
Yes, yes, they follow my wife Erin, and they've been pushing very, very hard. They're very interested in having our beer in their area, and I don't blame them. But they carry a lot of great brands also, and it would be nice to be part of their lineup too.
So unfortunately, I don't think this will be coming out in time where I could say we're breaking that in news
Yeah,
first
no,
that you'll be able to go to District East at some point. But if you probably have been able to go to District East to pick up some gear, I guess really it depends on how quickly all of that can happen. I don't know
right. We're working on
logistically
it. We're
how
absolutely
fast.
working.
But there has been an order placed by District East
Yes, yes. They
from
have
you.
requested a pre-order. Yes. So I was just informed by our sales manager today. So
That's funny.
thank you guys. We look forward to serving you and getting more beer to you as soon as we can.
So, you had said that you were forced to upgrade your system. Did you have some kind of failure, or was it because just from being able to keep up with the demand for your
Demand.
beer?
Yes, demand had been growing for us. We had been open for about 2.5 years when we made the decision to go ahead and upgrade our brew house. We had started with a 5 barrel direct fire system. Most of it was made by Stout Tanks and Kettles. They're based in Oregon, I want to say. And we sold that system to another brewery that actually just got opened earlier this year, Juniata Brewing Company. They are now using that system for the most part. We were able to also sell a couple of our fermenters and a bright tank down to Vanish, and they're using those for some special projects they have in the works down the road. And then we bought our brand new 15-barrel brew house, which included a 30-barrel hot liquor tank, a 30-barrel cold liquor tank that we use for wort chilling and sanitizing. And then we have 5 15-barrel fermenters and 3 15-barrel brights.
So you had a pretty substantial upgrade.
Yes, and we took the opportunity in between the old system coming out and the new system being delivered. We actually upgraded the entire production floor space. We chopped out the old concrete. We installed all new trench drains, better drainage, rerouted all of that plumbing to our outside fat box. We have a collection cell through our system before it goes into the main stream for sewer, which gives us a little ample opportunity to adjust and dilute things down for anything that has to go down the drain.
So the first time we talked, I thought you were the perfect person to ask the question to because of the range of systems that you've worked on. I just noticed actually I'm using my
nice. There we go.
Flying Dog Hydro Flask cup to drink out of. From Flying Dog with a semi-automated but fairly manual system to Trogs with the state-of-the-art push a button and beer comes out.
Yeah, Star Trek brewing is what I've always called it.
To your 100% manual back-breaking system at Gearhouse. So where does your new system fall in that spectrum?
So it's still manually driven, but we do have a lot more interface with it now. We've got PID controllers and temperature probes that give us some of our dynamics throughout our processes. So we can manually keep an eye on our mash tun temperature. We can manually keep an eye separately of our boil kettle temperature, our hot water temperature, our cold water temperature. And then also when we're ready to knock out and fill our fermenter from brew house side, we can monitor that all digitally. And then it's all manually controlled, but the system is actually very well designed, and it's a matter of valve opening and closing in different steps of the procedures.
So it's somewhere like around the Flying Dog area? Or?
Somewhere more along the lines of Flying Dog era, but they have a 50-barrel brew house, whereas we're running on a 15. And they're brewing 7 days a week, usually 2 or 3 shifts a day, depending. And Trogs was very much the same way, 3 shifts a week, 3 shifts a day, 5 days a week, brew house side. And then packaging was running 2 shifts a day, 5 days a week as well. So staying busy when you're putting out a lot of beer.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things like us craft beer consumers don't often think about. Like, I think so many of us think in terms of your size brewery, places that have the 10, 15 barrels and how much beer you put out, not like realizing the sheer volume of, I think people know like how much Flying Dog's putting out, probably like Trogs, but there's the places like Lost Rhino that just sells tons of beer and like people like the craft beer super fans, I guess, don't like think about that.
We have quite a few smaller ones that are actually churning out some major capacity within the state of Pennsylvania as well. Neshaminy Creek, South County, just to name a couple. And a lot of the breweries were working on upgrades to their system or expansions to their footprint before COVID hit. And so a lot of us have had to kind of pull back and reorganize a little, restructure somewhat in order to maintain sales. Hopefully we don't see many people have to dump beer, but even we at Gearhouse opted to pull beer off the shelves and from kegs that we thought was no longer premium beer. And we actually emptied those kegs into a chemical tote and donated about 175 gallons of finished beer to another distillery in the state. And so they were able to turn that over into hand sanitizer and distribute it to restaurants and bars as needed.
That's been one of those cool, like feel good stories.
Yes.
In this
we
whole
all
thing,
still work
like,
together. Yeah.
Yeah. With wineries doing that, breweries doing that, that's been one of those cool things that's happened.
Absolutely.
Although maybe not quite as cool for the people who had to.
I mean, it's sad
get
to
rid
see
of it,
beer
but
go
still,
down the drain. It's better than seeing beer go down the drain, I should say. We haven't had to do that really very much, but we don't push anything out into our customers that we don't feel is thoroughly recognized or part of our quality control standards. And I honestly want to make sure every brewer out there knows If you don't think it's great, if you don't think that you would put your name on that beer, don't sell it to your customers. You're going to fight more headache and have a lot more negative feedback, especially with social media these days. And the last thing you want to do is try and bring back, a full clean log of beers or a folio of beers that, your customers are not feeling are your best products.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, because that amount of money you lose in dumping that beer is probably going to be amplified by putting that out on the market.
Right.
In the long term loss.
In the long term, especially, because once it leaves your hands, you don't necessarily have control anymore. And we've seen how some of these distributors and retailers can operate. We go and check some of our accounts, especially local around Chambersburg, to make sure that our beer is being kept cold. We don't filter or pasteurize any of our products, but we do use long-term lagering techniques. So it's more of a natural filtration. But stabilization is still not present in our beer. We don't add any chemicals to provide stabilization. So we do try and limit our dates on everything so that, we don't want anybody drinking stuff more than 3 or 4 months out. If it's a hoppy beer, we know it's not going to keep, and it's not going to be what it was originally when it went in that package. Some of our other products we do know are going to last a lot longer, and we'll make sure we try to educate our customers. Lagers, if there's no oxygen in the vessel, it's going to last for quite a long time. Dark beers tend to last for a pretty decent amount of time as well. Higher alcohol beers like barley wine. We made Big Ring last winter and actually submitted that beer for a state competition. It even got second place. And it's a big, bold, almost 11% beer, but it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. It's just going to change over time, hopefully for the better.
I don't know. I'm a big proponent for aging hazies. I think it's the perfect beer for keeping around forever.
Oh man, I've seen so many people make so many weird posts about stuff like that. I honestly don't recommend that.
I constantly post that now, and it all stemmed from it was an episode with Attaboy where I had said, I can't remember what I said, and so he started mocking me for keeping around, and it's just because I had some older beers, not on purpose. It just ended up.
It wasn't intentional. They ended up in the fridge, and other beers showed up, and they got pushed to the back of the line. It happens in my fridge too, but I try not to let it happen.
Yeah. So anytime now I see online someone talking about how old beer is, I just reply that I like to age my hazies.
Yeah, that's going to create a firestorm.
So people probably just think I'm some sort of moron.
Next thing you know, it'll just be another protest in DC or Frederick just because you keep your beer too long.
Yeah. Right, we're going to take a real quick break to thank our sponsors, and when we get back, actually, I wanted to talk about some of the other breweries that you mentioned in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
If you haven't heard about our beer dinners, well, now you have. Typically, the last Tuesday of each month, we partner with a local brewery and craft an exclusive 5-course dinner. Each course is thoughtfully paired with some of the finest craft beer available. You'll meet the brewery, enjoy memorable pairings and service, and have a damn good time. Like us on Facebook to stay in the know when tickets become available, because they will sell out quick.
Idiom Brewing Company proudly offers a delicious variety of beers to satisfy the most discerning tastes, best known for their wide array of India Pale Ales, delicious fruited sours, robust porters and stouts, and crispy pilsners and lagers. Idiom Brewing Company prides themselves on continuing to innovate, utilizing new and or experimental hops, local ingredients, and unique flavor profiles. Unfortunately, you can't enjoy their tap room, which is located along beautiful Carroll Creek in downtown Frederick. Thankfully, you can enjoy their delicious beer to go and even have it delivered throughout the Frederick area. You can check out their menu options and place your order at idiombrewing.com. Make sure to follow them on social media for up-to-date options and hours during these ever-changing times. So actually, one of the places you mentioned was South County. I really like their beer.
They make some really good beer,
but they're not anywhere near you though, right?
No,
they're like more like just north of Baltimore, right?
Right. Yeah, they're towards the Philly area. And the Neshaminy Creek, I think, is on the north side up there. And then there's quite a few others. We're almost 400 breweries strong in the state, but I don't know how accurate that number is now with COVID and whether or not we lost any. There's been rumors.
I just recently heard of Neshaminy Creek for the first time. I absolutely refuse to support them at this point, though.
Oh, okay.
I cannot forgive them for the hot dog beer.
Yeah, it's creating a lot of hype. There's a lot of people who are strangely interested in trying that beer. I'm curious to get my hands on one can just so I can try it. And, I'm happy for them that they came up with some gimmick that they could use sheets and put hot dogs into beer because, why not? We put all sorts of other crazy ingredients in there.
When the good thing is too, though, if it follows in line with any of the other Sheets collabs, it's going to be dirt cheap.
Yes.
I think it was like when I got the coffee one that they made with who is that with? Rusted Rails.
Rusty Rail.
It was like $8 a 4-pack or something like ridiculous like that.
Stupid cheap.
So, I mean, I guess I would throw $8 away to try a beer that.
Another big hyped beer that we saw in the state was the Hershey's chocolate with Yingling, and that turned out to be pretty solid following for a lot of the customers that we know of. We had a lot of people asking if they could get their hands on it through us, and we don't normally carry that beer, but when we're back to open for service, we have been contemplating trying to get a keg or two because it's not something I would prefer to make, but it is something that our customers have asked for.
I was kind of expecting a little more chocolate out of it, so it was sort of a letdown when I tried it, but it wasn't bad by any means.
No, not by any means. It is a little sweet to my liking, but there's a lot of people who prefer their beer that way.
I mean, I would really hope that they wouldn't put out we're talking about the hot dog beer, a beer that's just straight up disgusting. Like I would assume that they've done something to make it drinkable.
I would assume so as well. That's to my comment that I said earlier. We're not out here to make any kind of beer just because we can make it. We want to make a beer that our customers want. Once in a while, we might find a fun way to do something different, and especially as a collaboration and bring other people into the fold of the industry. But it also helps us in the industry as well. Sheets is probably making market space on any of their stores within the state that sell beer specifically to carry that so they can market it for themselves as well.
I just loved it from the standpoint of on one of the covers from our magazine, we had that quote from that we had from Mark at Adroit Theory, where I think we were just talking about all the weird ingredients he used, and his quote was, "I'd use hot dogs in beer if I had to." So
timing is everything, isn't it?
Yeah. But that was like 2 years ago, I think.
Right.
So I mean, he was a trailblazer. He just didn't do it.
Well, we were doing stuff like that when I was at Flying Dog. Raging Bitch was being brought into market while I was there. We had started making firkins and different one-off versions that included mangoes and habaneros, and then one thing led to another, and then Pearl Necklace was born as the oyster stout that kind of replaced Road Dog. Road Dog came back as a throwback brand for them, and their portfolio has been pretty solid and pretty strong. But they're all about that kind of stuff, and other people are not necessarily.
Was Raging Bitch the first Belgian IPA?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so, and then all of a sudden that became all
the
rage.
Kind of the first recognized Belgian as a recognized style Belgian style IPA. Yes.
I popped up at I think it was an Instagram memory or whatever Instagram calls it, where I had tried one that was 6 years old.
Oh no!
And it was funny when it was about 5 years old. I had added Matt Brophy. Anyone doesn't know, he's the chief operation officers. If Raging Bitch would age well, and he's like, I don't know. Let me know when you try it because I'm not sure what's going to happen. It was really, really good.
I'm sure it was very different than what it originally was.
100% different, but it was really good, and it was one of the original bottles too. It was one of the corked and caged. Wait, were those corked and caged? I don't know. It was one of the bomb.
Yeah, the first bombers were cork and cage. Yeah,
because it was the one that came in the cylinder with the little poster with it and the two glasses.
If I try hard enough, I probably remember the day we were bottling all of those.
So it was when it was about a little over 6 years old. I cracked one of those open, and I was surprised at how good it was.
Well, that yeast profile is definitely going to stick around. The hops are going to be degraded, and it's going to give kind of a cheesy off note. There might be some crystal caramel carryover from oxidation perhaps as well. If the cork wasn't kept wet or if it dried out at some point in time, some oxygen may have gotten in the bottle. But the yeast is going to, for the most part, keep that fairly safe. But again, the flavor is not going to be what it originally was.
Yeah, it was very different, but there weren't any off flavors.
That's good.
It didn't pick up any, and it was in a refrigerator the entire time.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm sure that
makes a difference.
Helped a lot.
At least it wasn't getting warm and going back to cold again.
Yeah, it was in my kegerator its entire life cycle, so it stayed protected.
Somebody needs to clean their kegerator more frequently.
Well, that ended up becoming intentional.
Okay.
Because it was sitting in the back with some Mad Elf and a cup.
I have a library of Mad Elf as well.
So it was like, just a couple of those beers that I thought would be cool to just see what happens when they sit around for a long time.
Yeah, so it's always fun. Yeah.
When did you say your first canning run was?
First canning run was back in December of 2019. We canned Mad Machinist, Ninja Boots, and Canary in the Coal Mine as our blonde ale, kind of our original flagship. Most everybody who comes to Gearhouse for the first time usually tries Canary as one of their first beers until we know what style they're privy to or partial to. And then we try to make a full spectrum of all different kinds. We have a couple lagers on, we have a couple porters on, we have a couple stouts on, the barley wine that I mentioned earlier. We have another run of Mad Machinist that I'm actually going to be transferring to Bright Tank when we're done today, and that'll be canning very soon and available June 13th. And then we have some new stuff that I just showed or will show. This is one of our collaborations that we did with another Pennsylvania brewery, Rough Edges. The artwork was done by a local artist and then donated to us. And then the rest of the can label was actually designed in-house by one of our staff. And Rough Edges just opened in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, for anybody who does not know them. So this is a fruited sour ale. I'm trying to keep it in the camera here. Brewed with blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, only about 15 IBUs. We used a limited quantity of Amarillo just to give it a little bit of a hop character. But the rest of this is a purple pouring, slightly tart fruits of the forest, and it has been wildly popular since it released this past week.
How is there a lot of that?
I just did a count this morning, and if you give me 1 second, I have approximately 249 6-packs left.
Okay.
So yeah, we have some that'll stay for a little while.
How soon does Mad Machinist come out in cans?
We will be doing another run, and it'll be a new label. We're colorizing the label from the original run, and we're canning that June 10th. It'll release June 13th.
That sounds like a trip.
And that's our double IPA for anybody who's not aware. It's 8%.
It is good. That is 8%, a really good beer.
Very, very hoppy. Decent amount of bitterness to it, too. It usually hovers around 70, 75 IBUs. It's not a strong lingering bitterness, though. We use Warrior, so it's generally a pretty clean. Adds a little bit of grapefruit zest note. And then that beer actually uses a multitude of other hops, Centennial, Mosaic, Idaho 7, and Vic Secret as well.
See, it's crazy. I like that beer so much because I hate Idaho 7. I guess
I've been very partial to Idaho 7, but I think it's one of those that wants to be blended with a couple other different things.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. I hate beer like where Idaho 7 is the show time hop or whatever.
The showcase, yeah.
Yeah, the showcase. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. All right, we're going to take another quick sponsor break, and when we get back, I have a couple questions on how exactly you guys are able to operate now so I can plan my trip to get some Mad Machinist.
Yeah, we have some great updates for that too, so this is good timing.
Awesome. And who knows, it'll probably change again in another week or two
the
for the better, hopefully.
Up here, yeah, it's entirely possible.
So we will be right back.
Idiom Brewing Company proudly offers a delicious variety of beers to satisfy the most discerning tastes, best known for their wide array of India Pale Ales, delicious fruited sours, robust porters and stouts, and crispy pilsners and lagers. Idiom Brewing Company prides themselves on continuing to innovate, utilizing new and or experimental hops, local ingredients, and unique flavor profiles. Unfortunately, you can't enjoy their tap room, which is located along beautiful Carroll Creek in downtown Frederick. Thankfully, you can enjoy their delicious beer to go and even have it delivered throughout the Frederick area. You can check out their menu options and place your order at idiombrewing.com. Make sure to follow them on social media for up-to-date options and hours during these ever-changing times. I'm excited to announce our newest sponsor, Vanish Farmwoods Brewery. Vanish is a brewery and entertainment complex located on a 62-acre hops and apple farm in Luckett's, Virginia, just 20 minutes from Frederick, Maryland and Leesburg, Virginia. With over 20 beers on tap, a selection of wines and ciders, along with multiple food options, there is something for everyone. Vanish has live music on Saturdays and Sundays and a wide variety of special events. Go to vanishbeer.com for information on everything they have to offer.
All right, so actually though, I know you had some. You can show me some of the beer. So why don't let's talk about some of the other beers you have out right now that you just recently canned.
So this is Lovesick that we just showed. This is the beautiful purple hue, bright white foam. Again, tart, lots of berry flavors, and you can get all 4 of the berries in there. It's a very easy drinking beer, and this is available in 12-ounce cans and 6-packs. We are also doing single cans for to go, as well as soon to be outdoor consumption.
And I can't remember the name of it. What was the other beer that just came out?
2 others that just came out. We have Pedal Like Hellas.
That's the one I was trying to think of. So
this is our Hellas Lager. It's a 5.1%. Cyclist is getting chased by the Roadrunner because we thought that was just funny. 5% ABV, 16-ounce cans. We just released this one as well this past weekend, and it has been wildly popular as well. Everybody wants a solid lawnmower beer, or if you're cleaning out the garage and you just need something to wet your whistle, this is that beer. And then the other thing that we did, it's kind of another pseudo collaboration. We have a food truck friend of ours who's one of our Mug Club members as well. He goes by the name of Pulley Whistle Provisions, and he is an outstanding barbecue master. He's got 4 different smokers on the back of his trailer, and he makes some really fantastic barbecue in all different styles. What we did with him is Porter's Porter. This is a summer weight style porter, so it's thinner but still a dark beer, 6.4%. Has all of that chocolate, little hints of roast and toast note to it, but it's not going to be super weighty and sit heavy in your stomach. And we named this after his chocolate lab, who's also named Porter, and we even managed to incorporate him on the label a little bit.
Oh, nice. Are you into grilling at all?
I grill at home. Yeah, I'm not a grill master by any means, but I do enjoy flipping some meat on the barbecue when I can.
I made a beer can chicken for the first time.
Those are tasty.
Last weekend or the weekend before. It was so good. I used an old maple porter stout or smoked maple stout from Old Mother. It turned out amazing. So now I'm all about beer can chicken.
Sauce. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I didn't. Someone told me I should let pour some of the beer out into the pan and let it combine with the chicken juices and then reduce that afterwards as a sauce.
Exactly.
I'm going to do that. I didn't do that, so I'm going to do that for the next time.
And then you always leave a little still in the can, so as the can heats up, the beer inside starts to boil, and that steams from the inside of the bird too, because it should be inside the can.
So, and this is a cooking show. Another tip, because I research stuff way too much ahead of time. So I watched several YouTube videos about making beer can chicken, and a guy did an experiment with boiling water, beer, and I think no can at all, nothing in the can.
Okay.
And it takes substantially longer, although I think it would be stupid to take a cold beer to use.
Right.
So I just set the beer out in the sun for a while ahead of time, and I measured it was like 107 degrees before I used it. So it cooked way faster than other ones. So I think it boiled faster and also put some of the maple flavor in a little more.
Right. Yeah. It's going to steam it up into the bird. Yeah.
So those are the UnCapped cooking tips for the week.
So some of the other things that we're going to be canning here with Mad Machinist, actually, I have 2 other samples, and Mad Machinist, for anybody who hasn't seen what it looks like, is beautiful amber orangey color, Heavy notes of grapefruit, pine, zest, and dank from the Centennial, Idaho 7, Mosaic, and Vic's Secret hops that are both in the Whirlpool as well as a dry hop. So this is a very aromatic and hop-forward double IPA.
And you have really cool Mad Machinist glassware that I saw for sale on your website.
It is for sale on our website, and I don't have one here right now to show you, but GearhouseBrewingCo.com. We do have an online portal. All of our merch can be ordered online. We are working on being able to ship things out. We're trying to get our account set up so our flat rate shipping will be provided. And then once our portal is completely up to date, you'll be able to actually pay your shipping ahead of time. We'll box it up and have it in the mail to you as soon as possible.
Oh, I need to. I'm guessing you probably didn't have Mad Machinist on the list for people to place orders to distribution, right?
I believe it will be on the list, but it's because we've been at half capacity and we're starting to ramp back up again. It's only going to be a half batch, and we will be canning the whole thing, so there won't be any kegs available on site.
But so are you sending cans or just kegs into Maryland?
It'll be cans to start. Kegs for accounts that we're allowed that are interested in kegs, but specifically that beer and these other two that I'm going to show you are cans only.
So potentially I could just go to District East to pick up my Mad Machinist. And although I don't know, the pretzels are really good at Gearhouse.
And then New York City just reopened, so we have pretzels again. So that we don't make those pretzels in-house. They're made by another company in York, and we have been with them from day one, and everybody loves those pretzels. They're Bavarian style foot-long stick pretzels. We make our own house beer cheese that goes with those, or stone ground mustard is also a favorite.
All right, yeah, I just need to stop being lazy and just drive out there again.
It's only an hour for you.
Maybe it's not even an hour. It's like 45 minutes to get there or something. It's not bad at all.
Even better. So
I'll get Johnny to come out with me.
There you go. Yeah, he always needs a reason. Yeah. So also in our lineup, another purple, more mauve colored beer, bright white head, but it's starting to go flat on me because the sample was pulled a little bit ago. This is Brose, BROS, capitals, and then a little E.
That's funny.
The label is gorgeous and funny, but this is a wine hybrid beer. So we made a heavy IPA, 9% ABV. The hops are Galaxy and Euconaut. And then with that, in fermentation, we actually spiked the fermentation with, with some Cabernet Franc and Syrah wine grape must. So that's where the color comes from. And then there's an earthier wine note. So it's very similar to like a rosé, but an IPA.
That's really interesting.
And tasty. We're looking forward to that one too. And then last, because we are only allowed in Pennsylvania to sell our own products to go, we've had a lot of requests for gluten-free options, and people are very curious about buying spirits or cider from us, and we're just not able to do that currently. But we did go ahead and make our own hard seltzer. And again, this is another one I'm going to be transferring today. Giggle Water is the name of it. This is version 3.0. This is pure water and dextrose. There's no grain involved. There are no hops involved. And then fermented with strawberry and lemon juice. So strawberry puree, lemon juice to come off like a strawberry lemonade. And we will have that canned as well and available on site. And it's a 5% ABV, really easy drinker.
When's that one come out?
June 13th.
So that I can come out, get some Mad Machinist and that purely for the name.
Oh, yes, purely for that.
Before then, I thought Attaboy did a great job with Basic Boy, but Giggle Juice wins.
Giggle Water, yeah.
Or Giggle Water, sorry.
Giggle Water, if you do a little research, actually, there was pre-Prohibition era some hard seltzers that were being made by breweries at the time. There wasn't a lot of legal regulation involved with those, but they were popular amongst the public. So hard seltzer was a thing before Prohibition, and a lot of people had referred to it as Giggle Water because it poured like water, but it made them silly with alcohol.
That is your history lesson for the week.
See, we cover all the bases here: cooking, beer, food.
That's funny. I had no idea that hard seltzer had a long history. I thought that was a new invention.
Yeah, no, it's not as new as a lot of people think it is. But
I-
we will be making some other flavors in the future. I plan on making a cherry limeade version probably very soon. So look for that probably towards the end of the summer while it's still nice and hot. We'll probably have that flavor out then.
That's hilarious. Giggle water. I don't even like seltzer, but I'm definitely getting some of that purely for the name.
It's really good. We've been tasting and trying a lot of seltzers in the market just on our own in order to compare and contrast and try and find something that was close to what we wanted to produce. We found a lot of them we weren't really fond of. They generally had a typical medicinal kind of finish. We're not sure if that was a particular type of ingredient, perhaps concentrate or something else. But it was definitely something that kind of lingered across the board for the most part. So we wanted to make something that was tried and true and as fresh as we possibly could come up with. So we got all the fruit puree actually from Araza, which is based in Hagerstown. They produce fruits for aseptic puree in food and beverage industry across all markets. We can run down there and pick up our order instead of having it shipped to us. And we can directly add that into our secondary or in primary fermentation, depending on the beer, and still provide that quality of flavor without having to process that much fruit in-house, especially with this large system.
We actually had him on as a guest a little while ago.
Excellent.
He came on when we had a woman, Brooke. Her name's Brooke. Bashes by Brooke. She came on to teach how to make cocktails. And I got yelled at by Graham, my producer, because I had her. She made a smoked cocktail, so the room was filled with smoke, and he got all upset about it. I thought it smelled delicious, and it was awesome, and I thought it made good video.
Yeah, I'm sure it was really interesting to watch.
Yeah, because it's like she has this big dome, and then there's like a incense burning thing, kind of, and it just fills the dome up with the smoke. It's pretty cool, and it was an absolutely delicious cocktail.
So interesting that you should mention that. Our bar manager, right before everything went to hell, had been experimenting and working with making cocktail ice balls, but the ball of the ice was completely hollow inside, and he was actually filling those with different kinds of smoke, mostly like tobacco smoke, but sometimes he would smoke other things, and then capture that smoke inside the ice ball, dribble a little water on the hole, and then stick it back in the freezer so it stayed that way until somebody ordered that cocktail. And then that specifically was tonged into the glass, the spirit poured over the top, and then what he could do is with a small little brass hammer and a small little spike, he'd just tap on that ice ball until it exploded, and then you'd see all the smoke come billowing out of the glass and sinking down around on the table around it.
That's
it's
amazing.
Beautiful to watch. Yeah,
that's so cool. All right, I need to come have that happen too.
Well, cocktails are not going to be a thing for a while for us. You had mentioned curious about how our operations have been. We have been open for the most part 7 days a week since COVID hit, but we have only been open for to-go sales. With that, as I mentioned earlier, we've been allowed to deliver beer to customers as well. So we were providing free delivery service for a minimum $30 beer purchase. And then we were scheduling certain days of the week to drive around our footprint within about a 35 mile radius of Gearhouse in order to provide distribution and delivery for consumers directly, as well as those accounts that are still selling beer to their consumers. So we were able to get some beer into their hands as well and keep them running at least with Gearhouse.
So are you allowed to do outdoor seating now, or has Pennsylvania not gone into that yet?
So most of Pennsylvania, as of this past Friday, the 29th of May, went into yellow/green. It's a little confusing because yellow phase does not allow us to sell on site. We can still be open for curbside pickup to go, but we are supposed to be going into green, theoretical green, this coming Friday, which does allow us to sell outside service. So we're working on setting up all of our outside patio tables and spreading out our grassy spaces so that people can still order either online or in person. They stay seated at their table outside. We'll bring everything to them. If they want to purchase beer, they can do that, and then they're allowed to consume that in certain locations. But in theory, outside only. Customers will only be allowed to come inside to use restroom facilities, and then they have to go right back out. We're going to have to request that everybody keep a mask on unless they're seated at their table. Table units are going to be limited to household family members up to 4 without any kind of special permission. But if you have a larger household than that, then obviously we understand some families are bigger, some are smaller. We will accommodate as best as we can, but we do have to be cautious and try and maintain social distancing so everybody feels comfortable and safe.
And that
begins on Friday.
Is that a state regulation where it can only be tables about 4?
That's something that came down from our governor, yes, over the weekend and late last week. So they're still working on overhauling guidances and getting information out to everybody. We're unfortunately not only dealing with just the governor's office, but also our liquor control board, who provides our manufacturing license to us. So they have made some of their own guidelines, I should say, and we have to make sure that we abide by them as much as possible so we don't put our license at risk.
Yeah, I think here it's like tables of 8 is the limit.
Yeah, it's fluctuating state to state. They're saying 4 to 6 really right now for Pennsylvania. Okay. So I think 4 is kind of just the magic number for most households, but I know that's not all of them.
I was going to say, I could rattle off a list of a bunch of people I know that have families of 5 and 6.
Yeah.
I would not want a family that large, but plenty of people do.
To each their own, but we will do the best we can to accommodate. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little tough because we only have so many tables, and people are going to want to come and sit and hang out and enjoy themselves and get out of the house and have a different experience than they've had for the last few months now. But we're going to ask everybody to please be patient, be kind, understand that you're probably not the only people who want to be here at Gearhouse and enjoying yourselves outside and the weather and the beer and the food. So remember to keep your other citizens in mind and make sure that the rest of your community gets a chance to come and enjoy themselves as well.
Yeah, I was happy to hear the couple people I talked to down here today, since Friday was the first day that outdoor seating was allowed.
Right.
There were very few incidents of people being disrespectful or fighting and arguing with the regulations they have to follow, because it's not like it's such a waste of time. I don't know why you would want to give a server a hard time about a decision that the governor has made. That server is pretty far removed away from the people who are.
And not only that, they're just trying to do their thing and get by and get home and be with their family and make what money they need to make in order to pay their own bills and everything too. We're all in the same boat. It's just different angles and different perspectives, and we have to be mindful and keep each other in mind as well. We're not just trying to save ourselves.
Everyone, just please be nice to the people working at restaurants and breweries. They are not, whether you agree with or disagree with the rules or what has to be done, they are so far from the person who has dictated them, and they're just trying to protect.
Depending on where you are, those rules are not just guidelines, but actual rules. And if you don't follow them and you're caught not following them, then you risk being shut down in some cases.
Yeah,
so
no one wants that.
Nobody wants to see that. Trust me. Everybody's already been really, really nervous about how long they were going to be able to stay open or even continue business. As I mentioned earlier, we're almost 400 operating breweries in the state of PA, and we've heard rumors of a few breweries that may not be reopening. But I'm not positive, so I don't want to say anybody out loud.
Yeah, I think it was a little harder for you guys to operate in Pennsylvania than it was in Maryland, I think, wasn't it?
Right. When we were open for normal service, our license is actually pretty awesome. We're allowed to sell anything that's made in the state of Pennsylvania. So we had a full bar effectively without an R license or a restaurant license. But we could carry Pennsylvania spirits and make cocktails. We could carry Pennsylvania ciders and wines and pour those for customers. And then the beer that we were producing, but we could also get other outside beers from breweries in the state. We did fun, different venues where we had April showers bring May sours. And we were scheduled to do a sour event as well as a hazy IPA event earlier this year, and both of those were canceled because we're just not able to sell in that capacity for to go. So the rules are what they are, but unfortunately we were only allowed to sell our beer during this time frame. So we're still going strong. We still have beer, but we're working on ramping production back up here soon in the next couple of weeks and being prepared for on-site consumption and service, both indoors and out as we go into green. 50% capacity is unfortunately our number right now once we're in green. So we'll have to work with all of our staff, work with all of our consumers, and make sure that everybody's comfortable and has spread out enough and has enough time to come and enjoy a nice meal with their family, have a beer with some friends, otherwise maintaining social distancing, trying to wear your mask if you're not seated at your table, and then go about your day.
How is it in the local area there? Have cases been dropping steadily? And because I just saw like the recent reports, like in Frederick County, definitely, and throughout Maryland, we're on a very good trajectory of squashing new cases.
So I'm not fully versed on what today's numbers are. I did hear over the weekend that we had been going down around Franklin County. However, with kind of some of the relaxation of the stay-at-home order since then, there's a lot of people who are presuming and expecting another spike to go up. Mm-hmm. So Franklin County, we around Chambersburg actually had a particularly high number, and we were in some of the New York Times lists as like super high areas. Most of that is due to the fact that our population concentration is fairly small in comparison to the number of cases that were testing positive, as well as the number of deaths that we were getting reported within our area. But some of that was not necessarily human beings' fault or specifically any one entity. It was kind of a bumbling of a few different things. We had some excess quarantine people that were kind of shifted around and moved into some retirement communities and nursing homes, but they weren't actually being quarantined from the rest of the residents. And we had some other issues where we have some more lower income housing. We have families that are kind of in tighter spaces and larger numbers. And so distancing is not even effective for them. And it's kind of run rampant through those communities.
Okay. Well, I look forward to June 13th now. Because I want to get some Mad Machinist,
some Brosé, and some Giggle Water.
Yes, and I want some. I need to get some Love. Do you think Lovesick will be around still by then?
I'll save you a 6-pack.
Okay, because all is that 4 things? Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm buying a whole bunch of stuff while I'm out there.
That's okay.
And a pretzel, definitely a pretzel. I really like that artwork on the Pedal Like Hellas.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Some people may remember we had a hazy IPA that we had canned actually in April. It's all gone now, unfortunately. It was a collaboration with Pizza Boy. We are hoping to brew that again in the future, but there's certain hop that we can't easily get our hands on in order to make that beer. So once I have enough in-house quantity-wise, we'll make it again. Hop Fixiated had been especially popular. So we kind of borrowed that same individual. He's got the same bike, but then we've kind of changed some of the layout a little bit. So he's definitely sweating and he's got his tongue hanging out and he's pedaling as fast as he can because that Roadrunner's just right on his tail.
I'm finally going to put the effort into getting back onto my bike after, I think it's been close to 2 years now since I had knee surgery and kind of.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Hung them up for a while. Actually, I was at we moved during all this. And during the move, all my bikes were stored at Tom's house in his big garage. So I actually went to retrieve my bikes over the weekend so that I can tune them up and get them ready to start riding again.
Yeah. My wife found an adult Schwinn tricycle, and she's planning on using that to deliver beer hyper local from the building. We have a few customers who actually live nearby, including my wife and I. We live very close to the building. So we could throw a cooler in the back of that, fill it up with some beer, and literally ride it over to somebody's house and deliver it in person that way. As long as we have our decals and our license number per the state, that's entirely legal. And we have a delivery vehicle that we purchased as well, so we can run kegs and cans where we need to.
Did you know that it's close to impossible to buy a bike right now?
Yes, I saw that actually. I read that article over the weekend. Bikes are now dwindling in numbers.
So I was going to buy my oldest daughter a new bike because she's like on the cusp of needing the next size up.
Gotcha.
And I was talking to, so another career you had at one point. Well, I guess it wasn't a career. It was your
Mostly a
side.
career. Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's for a good
Um,
long time.
You worked at our mutual friend's bike shop at the
Bicycle Escape.
Bicycle
Yeah.
Escape.
Hi,
Um,
Rankers. We miss you guys.
so I had called Tom at the Bicycle Escape and I told him what I wanted. They had a silver one and a black one. And then my daughter got in trouble, so I told her she had to wait. But it was like 3 days later. I was like, "Hey, she likes a
Still
silver
have it?
one. I'll take
Nope,
it." It's like,
gone.
"Yeah, they're both gone, and I can't get any new ones until October."
Right.
Like, oh, okay. Well, guess you're riding that bike for a while.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah,
it's
he's
only
had
October. It's only a few months, so.
he's had people drive from New Jersey to get a bike because it was the closest place that had what they wanted in stock.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. My only suggestion might be look into your Facebook Marketplace and see if there's a family who's also trying to upgrade a bike for one of their children, perhaps, or eBay is also an option.
But I'm looking forward to when this is all over for many reasons.
Lots of reasons.
But one of them is to read the studies or listen to some kind of in-depth study of the economics of this, because they are really weird. The things that sold out and you can't possibly buy, like who's done really well, who's done bad. It's so weird. Like I never would have thought that bikes would be something that would just be completely impossible to purchase.
Well, people are bored and they're looking for things to do. Families want to do stuff together when at all possible. And if everybody knows how to ride a bike or they're big enough and old enough to start learning how to ride a bike, it's a great way to spend family time together and be outside and enjoy the weather and the summer as it starts.
Yeah, and I mean that's part of the reason we're too is like where we move, there are some real safe trails to just hop right onto where it's even safe for our 4-year-old to bike with us. So we're going to start taking family bike rides.
Good. Best way to spend time.
Other than going to Gearhouse to stock up on.
Well, you ride your bike in order to earn your calories back so that you can consume your liquid calories and maybe your pretzel calories too.
Yeah, earn that pretzel.
Earn it, yeah.
All right. Well, I know you are an extremely busy man, so I don't want to hold you up any longer. I really appreciate you giving me the time in between brewing and all the other things you have to do to run a brewery.
Happy to.
So it was great catching up, and hopefully I'll see you on the 13th or abouts then.
I'll make sure I set aside beers for you so they're already here.
Awesome. And I'll make sure I come out when you're there so I can say hi. It hasn't been all that long.
Last time I saw you wasn't that far ago.
Was that some kind of brewery event? I can't remember what it was now.
I'm sure. Yeah, it was Idiom, I think.
That's right. It was that Idiom's part. Actually, at this point, that was a really long time ago.
Yeah, it does. It is longer ago than I thought it was, but that was back in February. Yeah.
Was it only? I don't know.
Because I had just come back from vacation. We had gone to Palm Springs, California, and we were literally on our way back from the airport that night. We stopped to have a beer and dinner.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. And
thanks,
cheers.
Guys. Cheers. Salud, dinero y amor.
And everyone who's listening, I guess most of our listeners are in Maryland, so they can go to, and we're not going to say go to Harristown, go to District East.
District East. We'll get our beer there as soon as we can. We're working on it.
And you heard that possibly first. I don't know. Who knows when this will come out? But at some point around the time of when this episode comes out, you will be able to get Gearhouse beer at District East.
Fingers crossed. It should be there by then.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thanks again.
UnCapped is brought to you with support from McClintock Distilling, Maryland's first and only organic certified distillery. They are well known for their award-winning gin and are rapidly growing a name for themselves for their Matchstick Bourbon and Bootjack Rye Whiskey that have both won double gold at international spirits competitions. You can visit them in historic downtown Frederick along Carroll Creek for tours and tastings. Go to McClintockdistilling.com for more information.